fight to get a meal. Yeah, wrongfully accused, we had to fight to get appeals. That's why we right to get a deal. He on the team, he gotta eat, you know, despite your skills. Keep it riding for the fam, you gotta light the wheels straight up. But in the past bad, work up in the trash bag. I'll pass a lot to take the test before I pass class. And my family needed bread, I had to come correct. That's why I keep airing it out like I just passed gas.
You know, I spent 3 months in the outpatient program at McLean Hospital, #2 psychiatric hospital in the world, in Waltham, Massachusetts, right outside of Boston. I don't know if it was, you know, a tough moment for me, but it definitely was a defining moment because at that juncture of my life, I knew if I ain't changed or things ain't changed in my life, I mean, I was with the Dolphins my first year in the Dolphins, so you knew how that was. Yeah. It was crazy. But I knew like in that moment, if things didn't change, and I won't go as far as to say, like I didn't have any suicidal thoughts or anything like that. But I thought that I could lose my career, and that's the thing that's scary. Like, if I lose my career, then what? You know what I mean? Like, as a player, you know, growing up, like, I had this one goal. My goal was, I make it to the NFL, that's it. Like, it was no plan B. That was it. I was playing A, that was playing B, since I was 6 years old. And this is like vivid. This is a vivid picture in my head. I remember this. So I guess the scary thing for me in that moment, and even still to this day, was like, what would have happened if the game was taken away from me? You know what I mean? Yeah. Because at that point in my life, the game defined me.
That's all you got.
That's all. Brandon Marshall, the football player. This is what I was born to do. This is my platform. This is my purpose. It's both. So, you know, I guess the defining moment for me was then 2011 on the campus of McLean Hospital, and I was sitting in literally like this in a group. You know, we took self-assessment, mentalization, therapy, cognitive behavior therapy, CBT, DBT, dialectical behavior therapy, and you know, just different type of group therapies where you learn how to process things, manage your emotions, cope, deal, get back down to baseline. I'm sitting in a circle with people who was cutting themselves, and you can see bandages on their arms and blood seeping through. And I just remember thinking one day, like, having this, almost like having an out-of-body experience where it's like, wow, like, this person just cut themselves, or this person next to me said that they was going to take their life. So for me, you know, that was a defining moment for me because I realized that I was bigger than football for the very first time. You know, like I really thought that football, that was who I was, and that's why I was on this planet. So, you know, I don't know what it is for you.
Off that, man, that cutting stuff. People cut because they want to control. The only thing they can control in their life is their self, you know what I'm saying, their own pain. And all I could ever control was how good I was on the football field. So when you get injured, when you're on top, tear your ACL in sophomore year in high school. So then I'm on all the lists, all the rivals and all them .coms and all, and that's gone. Your name, as soon as you hurt, your name fall off, because I ain't played my sophomore year. Ball back, go out there, show out, get hurt your senior year, so you fall off again. End up getting to Florida, go to Florida, get locked up, multiple felonies. So I'm thinking I ain't playing now, they about to lock me up for the long haul. All I could control was football, injury, arrest, that takes me off the field. And all I knew, if I'm on this football field, I could dominate. If football was away from me, just like you said, B, I didn't know what I was gonna be. I didn't know what I can control. And that was the scariest thing for me, is not having ball, not having that opportunity to go out here and show what I believe God blessed me with the ability to do. So every time football, through injury, through arrest, through whatever, got taken away from me, I just think that put a shield over me. That made me just a little tougher. You know what I'm saying? The weakness around you, you got to take that and make it to a strength. So every time I got injured, in the back of my mind was always, what I'm good at, what I'm here for is gone. And that shit just kept going through and just kept building me up into this impenetrable force by the time I got to the league. Bitch, there's nothing you can tell me. And without those prior arrests, prior injuries, I don't think I'd have made it to the NFL.
Really?
I wouldn't have made it.
I somewhat had a squeaky clean life in a sense. Obviously no clubbing, no drinking, but a defining moment that kind of almost shifted for me was, I'll never forget, around Super Bowl time, 2007. And it's kind of God's way of tugging you back, like tighten up, in a sense. The incident happened. I'm not gonna go into details here, but I got questioned. I had to go into question for a murder. Wow. For murder. So the fact that my name was even
attached to it,
revolving in that circle in general.
No, bro, you got to give us a little backstory, bro. What you mean?
No.
Like, I'm just saying, like,
no, I don't need to. It's somebody died. I don't need to go back.
Yeah.
For what? But nah, hell no. Not even close. But just being able, having that name intertwined in that situation in general. And the only thing I could think of was, what happens if I lose a game of football? Mind you, 2007, I'm really just starting. I'm just getting turning.
Yeah.
You know, and the thought of actually losing that and sitting in that waiting room to be questioned, cold as hell. I'm in there like this too. This is how cold it is.
Bro, hey,
that jail
ain't no joke, boy. Them hard beds, metal beds, it's cold.
Toilet in the middle of the cell.
Yeah.
You watching dudes go to the bathroom. I don't want to be there no more.
Yeah.
Listen, that waiting room to get questioned and having to answer those questions, that's eye-opening. Everything ends, gone. Can you imagine being put away?
No.
Like a man, and then my kids.
Not for that. Like that's a charge.
Starts going through your mind.
Yeah.
That was scary.
Yeah.
That's crazy, Ocho, because I don't think that was like reported or anything.
Yeah, I don't even remember that.
Oh yeah, it was. It was very eye-opening.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that get, questioned or in the
Not
middle
for
of stuff
murder.
like.
He said
Not
murder.
for murder.
Well, I mean,
Wrong
if
circle.
you're from, where are you from? Where are you from? You're from
Wrong
Liberty City.
murder.
Where is it? Liberty City?
Yeah.
You're from Liberty City. Yeah. It's just a matter of time.
I mean, he was in the
I hate to say it that way.
He had already left.
Really?
He go to Liberty City all the time. Like every time you see him posting a picture, he with somebody in the hood.
City, like you good to get questioned for murder?
Yeah.
No.
Because think about that. Like I'm saying, it don't matter if you're in the hood, you're in the country, whatever. If you're in a place.
Wrong circles.
Wrong circle.
Yeah, it's the wrong circle, not the wrong circle.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I think it's like, am I bad for thinking it's common?
To get questioned for murder?
For question for murder?
Murder?
When you're in the NFL?
He's from Liberty City.
But he was already in the NFL.
Where you from? Liberty City. Ain't nobody.
Hold on, bro. Go back to the 80s. No, go back to the 90s. Who was running Liberty City? 90s, the early 2000s. Like Liberty City is serious.
No, we know Liberty City is serious,
Yeah.
but we also know that he was already in the National Football League. So being questioned for murder when you're like in the National Football League is a thing.
Yeah.
I know when I got my legal trouble, you go and see how many years you can get. I had felony assault and battery. I looked at 10 to 15. It scared the hell out of me. Because I ain't know what the judge was going to say. I ain't know when I went to court. I ain't know if my attorney was going to be good. I ain't know. I'm like, I can get 10 years for this?
Were you in college?
Yeah, that scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Now, UF brushed it under the rug. Now, I ain't going to lie.
They brushed a lot of it.
Yes, but
You had Urban Meyer, because y'all brushed a lot of stuff out of Aaron Hernandez.
One people, two people?
hey, we a football vocational school. Y'all leave us alone. We just create monsters on the field.
I mean, I think my defining moment, it wasn't a low point in my life, but, I was in law school at FAMU in Orlando, and I was a legal intern, and like my second week, we got Trayvon Martin, like as a case. We represented his family, and at that time, it hadn't hit news. All I got was, I was told, Ben Crump handed me a picture of Trayvon Martin dead in the grass and was like, make copies of this. And I was like, oh, this is a teen dead, like with his mouth wide open. And
Hold on, so you saw the picture of Trayvon.
Yes, before anyone knew who Trayvon was, then everything just started happening. We had a meeting and we're like, we need the country to know Trayvon Martin's name. Because at that point, George Zimmerman was still on the streets. No one knew anything that happened. His parents had just found out that he was dead, like he was missing, so this was a whole thing. And I'm just this legal intern a few weeks in, and then we had a conversation about we need to start a movement. And at that point, like now it's like
Hold on. I mean, you said two big things, and I think it's almost like I wouldn't say a cliche, but it's synonymous with black male, black female gets shot or brutalized by police. We say their name, right?
Yes.
So you guys literally had a conversation about we need to make sure America know his name.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Because you had two parents who didn't know what happened to their son, right? Like it wasn't like people heard gunshots and they immediately knew what happened. they couldn't find him, right? And so they had to call the morgue, they had to call the police and say, my son is missing. And then they found out what happened where his father lived. So then we just like, we have to protest because there was no arrest. They let George Zimmerman go home. And I'm literally standing outside the state prosecutor's office protesting. And really the first ask was, you need to arrest George Zimmerman, right? And that was such a defining moment for me because one, I was traumatized. I had never seen a dead body before. I had never seen, I'm from Kansas City, it's always top 10 murder rate, but I had never seen a dead body before. So even just seeing his face dead in the grass was traumatic for me. And then knowing that his killer was out just roaming the streets was also traumatic.
Yeah.
Then the next traumatic thing was they hadn't even released the police calls yet. They hadn't released the tape. So we wanted them to release the tapes. So I was with his parents when we heard for the first time the police call where you could hear Trayvon in the background screaming for his life. Because at that point, we didn't know what had happened, right? It was like, oh, all we knew was George Zimmerman's side where it was a tussle and, you know, Trayvon attacked him and everyone's like, that doesn't really sound like Trayvon, but we didn't have any proof. So hearing this boy's, and I say boy because he was 17 years old, this boy's last breath on a call, and it's his first time, it's the first time his parents have heard it, and I have to hear them break down. I mean, it was the most traumatic thing I've ever experienced, but it made me realize why I went to law school, why I wanted to be an advocate, why me, Ben Crump, and Natalie Jackson, why we do what we do, right? Because we're advocates. And at that point, nobody seemed to give a damn about this black boy. And this was really, Trayvon was the reimagining of the civil rights movement.
The start,
right?
the start,
we hadn't protested in years. So to have this, and then me on the front line, all right, go lead this protest with, you know, with Jesse Jackson, go lead this protest with, you know, with
You're leading that?
Yeah, because we needed it to come from the youth. So it was FAMU law students with me on the forefront, and it was FAMU undergrad students driving from
What's interesting is that, like, where Trayvon's life was taken from him by George, Mr. George, it's crazy to think that he's still walking the streets, but that's a whole nother conversation. Wow. Because that could go two ways. That could go to the street, and that could go, you know, the legal system, right? But, you know, that's where I pretty much, like, the second half of my childhood was spent in Seminole County. You know, that was our rivals, was Sanford. Yeah. So that's interesting that, you know, that happened right around the corner from pretty much where I grew up. And
this wasn't a bad neighborhood, right? And so I think when you look back, like now it's like protests are normal. It's the norm, right? Like we've been saying, say her name, say his name, but Trayvon was the first. And that was really when I found my purpose. And even though I wanted to work in sports, I was so determined to challenge the NFL to use its platform for people like Trayvon, because Trayvon plays sports. Trayvon could have been any one of you three, right? Yeah. And he needed that advocacy, and that's what really defined my career and really my life.
She's way better than we are, fellas. We all talking about our career. We all myopic. We just I can't play ball no more. That's real.
Yeah.
That's real to change the world, man.
But I mean, why you feel like that? Because, you know, I saw a stat on Instagram this week, and it said, like, right now there's a million majority boys and then a handful of girls playing high school football right now. Almost 7% makes it to the next level, NCAA. Out of that 7% of that million that makes it to the next level, NCAA, college football, right around 1% make it to the NFL. You know what I mean? So I guess my question is, when you think about those numbers, do you, like, how much of that was luck that, like you made it to the league? I mean, even you, S.A., when it come back to you, you can think about that because you made it to the league too. You spent 7 years in the NFL.
I beat the average, you know what I mean, of league years.
That's right.
And I came from 2 HBCUs, and it's not hard, but it was pure hustle. But it is a little bit of luck.
My question is, like, how much of it is luck though?
I think it is, like, a lot of it. A lot of it's luck, circumstance, opportunity.
So you feel like Ocho Cinco is like you made it to the Cincinnati Bengals?
Well, I almost messed up. Obviously, bouncing from school to school, never having an opportunity to play at Oregon State. Obviously, the biggest stage there is to be able to showcase my skill, to even get an opportunity to go to a combine. So obviously, I wasn't an academic scholar. It wasn't my thing. My green light out of my situation in childhood, my dream was football, and that was my lone focus.
Yeah.
And I almost didn't make it because I hated school. Like I literally hated and dreaded school. So I think it was luck. It was a little bit of luck.
I think the only thing you can call luck with making it to the NFL is injury. Getting in trouble is your fault. Seriously, I'm a dude, I got locked up. Getting in trouble was my fault. I got drunk and started fighting and whooping ass. If you don't work hard enough,
whooping ass, bro.
Started whooping ass. Yeah. Boy, I got the Florida, got the 245 yoke on that creatine, bitch. I went to knocking motherfuckers out. I knew what I was doing. But that was my fault. If in that situation I talked about earlier, if I wasn't got locked up, that was my fault. If you don't work hard enough to go out there and start, if you know what I'm saying, if you will back up your whole 4-5 years of school, that's your fault. You don't work hard enough. The only thing that I think is lucky about making professional sports is not getting injured or not getting injured to a point where you can't play no more. Yeah. Everything else is on you. Trouble, work ethic, all that is on you and it's in you. You can have people around you, but that shit ain't in your heart, you ain't gonna make it.
Some people work all their life and still just don't have the skill set to play at that level.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just ain't got it.
That's why I don't think it's luck.
Yeah.
I truly.
But are you not lucky to be built like that? Like, are you not lucky for your God-given talent? Like, there's some people who are just
DNA.
freaks.
That's
DNA. But then his will, his work ethic, like.
But then you got on the other end of the spectrum, you got Tyreek Hill. You know, he built, he cut, but he a little dude. So yeah, I'm 6'5", 230, which I think that's a blessing, and I played into that. But then you got other guys in the league that's like super small, and they still make it.
Well, first of all, he's fast as lightning. So, like, he still has a God-given talent.
That Chief showing, that Chief family showing.
Chad, he ain't fast as lightning?
He's fast.
That's a God-given talent. Now, someone like Jimmy Butler is a good example because he's not great, like super great in any area. He's just a dog.
But he's a dog.
Tyreek
Hill didn't run track his whole life and grind, he would not be that fast. That's not God.
Bruh.
That's not God.
He was out the womb.
No, when he was racing Ocho, he was running like this. He ain't had no form. No, not Ocho. I'm sorry, T.O. When he was racing T.O., he was running like this.
He's just fast.
All that track went out the window.
He's just fast.
That boy was running like
There's
this.
some people who are just fast.
And Usain Bolt's fast, he'll get his ass knocked out on the football field.
Well, is Usain Bolt
like, you see what I'm saying? I don't believe in luck. Only thing, if you don't get injured, luck has nothing to do with why I was better than the dudes I beat out to get there.
I don't know. Well, 1%. NFL players are 1%. It's only 1,500.
Yeah.
Only 1,500 out of a population of how many?
320 million.
That got something to do with luck. I don't care what nobody say.
You think it got something to do with luck?
A little bit of luck.
Bro, I don't think it got anything to do with luck,
You need a little bit of luck, the timing and opportunity. Timing, opportunity.
Timing and opportunity is real.
But here's the thing, though.
Being prepared when the opportunity presents itself is
Bro,
very
I seen
important.
how you worked, and like, to me, it's like, yes, it's preparation meets opportunity. I do believe that, but like, you could have easily stopped. How many people in your situation where it's like, you know what, I ain't getting to Oregon State. You know, I don't want to go to school. And it's like, you know what? So if I gotta go to school to get to Oregon State, then that means I can't play football because I don't like school. And they just stop.
They don't want it enough though.
That's my point. That's my point is that like you work for it.
That's why I hate when people say I don't have no motivation. That come from within. If you need somebody else to motivate you to do whatever your end goal is, then you ain't even about that.
Yeah.
Like you gotta want that shit in anything that
school you go to. Like what if you go, there's a lot of guys who just went to a sucky ass high school.
I went to UCF my junior year, we went 0 for 11. We was 0 for. You know what I mean? And in my mind, like I remember being in like middle school, 8th grade, and I don't know, like I just thought like just running was the path, right? So I didn't have no rhyme. There was no rhyme, no reason for what I was doing, but I just knew I needed to work. And there was a few things that stood out to me when I think about like how do you make it, and then are you prepared? Like number one, I had my younger brother. He was 6 years old at the time, and I would be like, all right, bro. On the weekends, I'd be like, all right, jump on your bike, and his name is Bijan, right? So Bijan, I'd be like, B, jump on your bike, and then I'm gonna go run. You know what I mean? I don't know, I don't know how long it is, but I'm gonna run the Kmart on the corner, way down there on Redbug Lake Road in Seminole, and then I'm gonna come back. You know, come to find out when I got older, I was like, let me test that out, jump in my car and time it, see how long, you know, measure it, see how long that was. And it turned out to be like 5 miles. But on the weekends, every weekend, what I would do is I would tell my brother, he's 6 years old, to get on his bike and then like, let's go ride. And I would run, he would ride. And then there was sometimes he even ran 5 miles. So it's like that mentality, you know, I just think it's different. And, you know, walking through the house, I would hit a corner going from the living room to the dining room corner. I would act like that was a route. That was an outcut for me. Bang, bang, bang. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You know exactly what I'm saying?
I do it in the mall. I do it in the grocery store. Anywhere where there's a lot of people, I would always use people and just say, just that, oh, that's
so y'all just juking people in like this, in public? Walmart?
In public.
I ain't never do that.
Like, you know how you cross people, you say excuse me, I would never say excuse me, I always do a move. Always. And I still do it to this day.
You still do it?
For no reason.
But this the thing, this the thing here now.
Hey.
How old y'all? How old y'all?
I'm 36.
No, how old were y'all when y'all these stories?
Oh, I mean, I was 14, 13, but
I was in high school.
High school.
Yeah.
So let's say 15 and 14.
Yeah.
How many 14-year-olds, how many 15-year-olds were working that hard at that age? Even had a thought, like Chad was saying, even had a thought to work that hard.
Yeah, yeah.
Who gonna get up and run 5 miles? That's not fun.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not fun. You play, think about football, you play 10 games. The rest of that shit ain't fun, fellas.
Yeah.
That's what is inside of people that make it.
I think anybody, even you know, playing Mike Backer the way you played it, like that's the craziest thing to me.
I ran him over one
No,
game.
you didn't run him over.
Chad,
what?
Hold on.
No, you did not.
Chad, you didn't come in there.
I ain't run.
Chad, you don't come in there.
I ain't run you over.
Chad, I'm a fan of yours. You don't go in there with us.
Man, I played in the trenches. What?
In what trenches?
I played in the trenches. I played receiver, but I was.
You
Nah, man, don't play.
Hold on. You ran him over. What year? You gotta give us a look.
I caught a slant, and he thought I was finna cut up, but I just ran into him and gave him a little shoulder, a little whip, and then dreads went flying.
You know what? I grabbed you, I slid you in my back pocket, I walked you on over there.
Never that.
He pulled you out of my pocket.
He pulled you out of my pocket.
Listen, you can pull up the film. The people at home, I don't know where my camera at, pull up the film. It's on now.
It's on the
happened?
The eye in the sky don't lie.
The eye in the sky don't lie.
We'll see.
Just to put a cap on that last discussion, like I know Ocho, you think it's luck. I don't think it's luck. I think that there's a certain makeup.
Both?
I just think it's a certain makeup. Even think about Channing and he playing Mike Backer. Oh, we got Chef Nancy here.
Yeah.
What we got?
A salmon niçoise salad today, something light.
Something light? Okay.
Yep, a salmon niçoise salad.
Let's go. Chef, okay. I see what you got on. What's that? Gucci? Louis? What's that?
Fresh.
Gucci.
Look at little Gucci.
Chef, stay clean now.
I like that fit.
I can
Just
post
Thank
stay
you.
I can post this?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Post this.
Thank you.
Chef, you on Twitter?
Am I on Twitter? No, Instagram. I'm a little too old for Twitter. I gotta
All right,
get a
so we
Twitter.
got a chef. So we talking a lot about like defining moments in our life, and you know I got the same question for you. When do you feel like, you know, it was like a do or die situation in your life, a defining moment?
Oh, well, we might have to talk about this salad. This is basically, it's the salmon niçoise salad. It derived from a little city, Nice in France. And I went to the French Culinary Institute. That was a turning point for me, a defining moment when I realized that I just wanted to become self-sufficient and be able to take care of myself. And so that was a defining moment for me. And the salmon salad is really actually an ode to my old school that I went to.
So like your journey from, you know, in your marriage where your husband, you know, really was an amazing provider and did everything.
Yes, he did.
And when you made that shift, it's like, you know what, I'm gonna go do what I want to do. And how old were you?
40 years old when I went to culinary arts school.
So you 40 years old.
11 years ago.
11 years ago, 40 years old, starting. Wow, God.
Looking good, girl.
What?
Looking good, girl.
Hold on, that caught me off guard. She said that was 11 years ago. Yeah, that's a whole damn.
Yeah.
So, but like when you flipped that switch, like was there anybody that you look back and was like, yo, you know, that move that I made really impacted these people's lives and
My daughters. My daughters.
What you mean?
Because it showed them that it's never too late. A lot of people around me too, but for the most part, my daughters.
Yeah.
And just showing them that at any age you can make a switch, you can change. At 40 years old, I stayed home for about 2 years after culinary arts school. And again, I think I said it before, my first celebrity client was Kelly Rowland. I gave her lessons and I still keep in touch with her.
Kelly's nice. Yeah, I saw Kelly at the Rock Nation brunch. She's like, where's Chef Nancy? I love Chef Nancy. So Kelly Rowland.
Yes. I worked for Tyler Perry through another chef, Robin Roberts recently, Intro Roll, Brandon Marshall and Mishi Marshall. But for the most part, I've been with the Marshalls for 4 years, and that was just incredible for me.
Yeah.
Just the opportunity, the way you embraced me.
Yeah.
And your family embraced me. And I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. You're
and
easy to embrace, I'll be honest.
Thank you. Happy to be where I'm at.
Right,
and I hope you guys enjoy the
So the message
so
from Chef Nancy tonight is, she don't give a damn how old you are.
It's never too late.
It's never too late.
To make a change. Everything leading up to where I'm at today is why I'm where I'm at today. You know?
Okay, but
I might have did a few things differently, but I wouldn't.
How do you stand out from the other chefs? Like, is some of that just you have the touch, or are you working harder than other chefs?
The way they work is different. I never really wanted to be in front of a camera. That was somebody else's idea. And I'm grateful for that too. I just love to cook, and that brings me joy when people enjoy my food. I didn't have to do the extras. I already had a home. I already had most of the things that a lot of the younger chefs are striving for. So for the most part, it was the love of the craft, and then just being embraced and people enjoying.
So if you had to have like a style, like Ocho, they call him Sweet Feet. Like, what they call you? The sweet. He's known for his feet. I'm gonna call him Sweet Feet. Channing Crowder, he hammerhead. Look at the big old head. You know, Chef, he was one of those football players that just want to hit people, so we gonna call him Hammerhead. And I was just Debo. You know, I just big
what
receiver,
am I known
Debo.
For back home?
Yeah, so like, yeah, for you,
home,
how would you define your craft?
My craft or me?
Like both, I guess both. No, more so your craft.
Yeah,
like,
the identity of you as a chef.
Yeah.
The identity of me as a chef is being able to recreate anything that I've tasted. I was fortunate enough to travel the world, and one of my hobbies was going to restaurants and just tasting different things. And the hobby was coming home and trying to recreate them. I might not get it the first or second time, but by the third time, I got it. And working for different celebrities, they want you to recreate what they've had other places, other countries. They want that in their own home. One of Kelly's guests one night when she came to New York for the US Open was Serena Williams. And she's like, where are you from? So Kelly goes, Jamaica. So she goes, she was trying to say Jamaica Queens. Serena was like, Jamaica, can you make some oxtail? But Kelly's like, Jamaica Queen.
Right, Jamaica Queen. Big
but
difference.
I was like, no problem, I'll make you that oxtail. So the next day she came back after one of her games, and she wanted a dark and stormy. And then Kelly asked for some dessert that I've never heard of before, but it's all about reading, and she was like, it was a strawberry Romanoff. You ever heard of a strawberry Romanoff?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't. And at the time I didn't. And that was at some restaurant in Houston that she used to get it from. So I looked it up and then recreated it. It was some type of dessert with cream and cookies. And my take on it was to put the Biscoff Delta cookies in it. So I did that.
Oh, I love those cookies.
Yeah, I did that, recreated it, gave my little remix to it, and gave it to her and Serena the next day, and they enjoyed it.
All right. Well, we're gonna bring you back.
You recreated this. Good.
This is bomb.
Thanks, Chef. We're gonna bring you back when we talk about Serena when she won that 24th title.
Okay.
Did I say that right, Essay?
Yes, you did.
All right, I said that right. Okay, cool. Because you know, Essay's a super duper Serena fan.
Serena's the greatest athlete of all time.
All right. Well, there we go. I guess that's the next topic.
Male or female?
So you think, hands down, don't matter, LeBron James, Odell, no, sorry,
Odell.
athlete. I want to say, hold on.
Boy, what the hell are you about to say?
Well, because when you say athlete, when I think of athlete, the best athlete I've been around was Odell. But the greatest, like when we say athlete, the GOAT, That's like GOAT and athlete's different.
Like
I'm thinking about
ability?
body control.
You think athletic ability?
I'm talking about ability. Like I don't care about performance. I'm talking about ability. So let's go back. The greatest GOAT, like the greatest GOAT. So you think, hands down, male or female, Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods. I even put Lindsey Vonn in there. I like skiing. Oh God. Yeah. Yes.
I think it's worse than mine.
So Serena Williams is the best athlete ever.
23 Grand Slams. That's not even her overall record. That's just the big ones, the majors.
Yeah.
She won her first one when she was 17.
Coco just did that.
No.
Didn't she win a major?
And guess what? But Coco has not won 23 since, right? So literally, she's been reigning for over 20 years. When you play tournaments, you literally have to play how many rounds? And everybody plays you the best. You and your sister are the first black girls to ever do this shit. She is absolutely the greatest athlete of all times. Absolutely. She is still the scariest player to play. And yes, she's had a rough time since she had her baby, where she almost died from, by the way. Let's put some respect on that.
Yeah, it's true.
She still is the scariest player to play.
It's a whole nother conversation.
When you play Serena, you have nothing to lose. Because nobody's expecting you to win. So you're gonna play your best. Think about the games that y'all played where everybody had counted you out. You have there's no pressure.
Yeah.
Because it's really, are y'all about to really win? No. So you might as well ball out. The pressure is when you're supposed to win a game and you don't. When you're the underdog, you always play your best. And she literally gets everybody's best every single game. There's girls that have beat her that haven't won a major since.
Yeah.
But they ain't got nothing to lose because it's you're about to play Serena. She's the greatest of all time. She has the greatest serve of all time.
Yeah.
Go out there and do your best.
All right, so you got Serena. Who you got?
I got to go with MJ, man. I got to go. The numbers, you want to count championships, I'm with it. Serena a bad woman now. Because when we start doing the GOAT, you start putting Jordan against Serena, against Tiger, against Muhammad Ali. Now you talking about some of the greatest, some of the best ever. I put Jordan up there because what he did for basketball, what he did for young black men everywhere on a different level. I know Coco Gauff and what's the new girl named?
Naomi.
Naomi bad too now.
Yeah.
So I think they're coming up.
And they're standing on the shoulders of Serena.
But what Jordan did for marketing, what Jordan did for money, what Jordan did for just giving these guys what they have now and what basketball has become, I think Jordan did more for basketball than Serena did for tennis.
As long as you acknowledge that the only reason why Jordan did more for Serena is because of male privilege. If Serena was a man, it wouldn't be even a question if she was the greatest of all time. Yes, she can get the deals. The fact that she's the greatest female athlete and she's not even in the top 10 highest paid athletes because she's a black woman who doesn't fit a size 2. So just acknowledge that male privilege plays a part in that.
And if Serena was white, she could hit those points.
If Serena
I don't think
that's what I'm saying.
No,
if
I don't
Serena was
know.
a man, she would be able to do the things for the community that you're giving credit to Jordan for. But Serena single-handedly changed the game of tennis. Single-handedly.
Yes. I watched her. Her serves.
Yes.
No, they can't even sing them. They don't. I love Serena. I love Serena.
That's TV and that's media. This is what I would say. It's to each his own. Some guys like skinny girls. Some guys like thick girls, right? Some guys like just exotic girls. Some guys like pretty girls. Some guys like mixed girls. It's to each his own. That's what I believe.
Some guys like BBWs.
What you like?
BBW.
What's BBW?
You look.
Hold on.
You know what
What's BBW?
You don't know what BBW is?
No, what's the BBW?
What you think I be lifting weights for, man? BBW, boy.
Gotta get up underneath it.
He say, ooh, what is a BBW?
Beautiful black women.
Oh.
Anybody 200 up.
It's
200 and up.
Big.
Get my phone.
No, it's big and beautiful. Big and beautiful women.
Get my phone. 200 and up.
Hold on. You like big girls?
What? Yeah.
What you like about big girls?
It just, you ain't never, oh well.
So that's so now Ocho proved my point. So now
a lot of men like Serena's body, by the way.
The world has done a good job at is really, equaling, evening out the playing field. Because we have this picture in our mind, their sex sell, what is a beautiful woman? They're shaped a certain way, their hair is a certain way. And the reality is everybody's different. The bodies are different. So when you look at why Serena in the peak of her career, and some say she's still there, but I don't, you know, it's like, no, the prime of her career, why wasn't she bringing in those marketing dollars? Is where she's at now and where the world is at, is people are like, you know what, we're talking about, you know, how we should approach sex, how we should approach the woman, because, you know, our world is sexist, bro.
Very.
Very.
I'm just saying, keep it a meritocracy. You can't bring up Jordan and say, oh, what he was able to do for, you know, for black men and the deals that he was able to cut. And you can't use that against Serena because Serena has never been given the opportunity to make those life-changing, those game-changing deals because she's a black woman that doesn't fit the stereotype.
When you talk about the best athlete, she is the greatest woman athlete ever. I'm not sure why we're trying to lump Serena.
No. The conversation is greatest athlete ever.
You can't put woman against. You can't
yes,
do
you
that.
Can.
No, you cannot.
You're saying
the greatest female athlete of all time.
She's the greatest.
Why are you trying to compare her to men that are much greater on different? I don't even know how to differentiate the.
How are they greater?
Are you trying to compare Serena and Michael Jordan?
Absolutely.
So why do you think you can't compare them?
How are you going to compare?
Because are you thinking?
Are you going to compare Serena and Kobe Bryant?
23.
I'm asking the question.
Yes, she's greater than Kobe Bryant.
All right.
23.
Well, I guess this is the question, Ocho. Can you compare Tiger and Kobe? Can you compare Tiger?
Why can't you compare women?
And Jordan?
I mean, the sports are completely different too.
That's what I'm saying. So can you compare them?
Different.
All right. Can you compare Tiger? Let's throw Peyton. No, not Peyton.
No.
Let's throw Tom Brady in there. Can you compare, and the reason why I'm using that as an example is because Tiger Woods plays golf.
Right, it's an individual sport.
Yeah, it's an individual sport, and then we also look at golf like it's golf.
It's
the same as tennis.
Questionably athletic.
You know,
there's a certain skill that you need to be able to be successful.
It's questionably athletic.
That is a great topic, though.
What you guys have to do with your bodies, I do not think, now granted, it is skill, right? It's muscle memory with golf. What you guys have to do with your bodies, golf player, you look at golf players and some of the, Phil Mickelson, like really? You're gonna compare his body to yours?
But there's still a skill.
So now you body shaming. So now you body shaming.
No, I said
body
shaming.
She body shaming now. See, you see how it go? You see how it go? It's a double standard. So you talk about men. Yes, it is. So Channing gets on you because he says, oh, you can't, or Ocho, like you can't compare man and women athletes. And then all of a sudden we go to sports. And now you're saying, oh, can you compare a golfer's body to a football player's body?
No, I said what you guys have to do for your body and your athletic ability is very different. Muscle memory is different than pure strength and training. It's a different game. It is a different game. And who's going to argue with me on that?
I think the biggest difference, I think what we're talking about is individual sports and team sports. To win as a team is a lot harder than to win. Just like you're saying, and Serena's out there by herself, but she's out there by herself. Jordan got to depend on them 4 dudes on the court. Brady got to depend on them other 10.
First of all, basketball is such a bad example because literally, you give the ball to MJ. Basketball is not.
He could have won without Scottie.
Football is more of a team sport than basketball.
You believe that? I would like to hear the public's opinion.
Jordan won without Scottie.
On what you said on the comparison of just lumping everybody in one and who is the greatest athlete of all time. I would love to hear what the public has to say about that, outside of just us here discussing it.
Yeah.
Because to me, when I define Serena, I define her as the greatest female athlete of all time.
So, but it was interesting because I have this photo in our old facility where it says I have Serena Williams, beautiful portrait of her, and then it says greatest female athlete ever. But then I crossed out female.
Thank you.
Because in my head, I think she's the greatest athlete ever. Because I think if it was a male doing what she did and how she dominated, we would be saying, I don't know if we would say that she is the greatest, but it definitely would be a debate. You know, who's the greatest of all time? Is it LeBron? Is it MJ? Is it Tom Brady? Is it Tiger Woods?
Yeah.
Like if Serena was a dude, she would be in that discussion, 100%.
That's a good one.
She literally almost died giving birth, and she's been to how many finals? You know how hard it is to get to the finals? How hard is it to get to the Super Bowl? Extremely hard, right?
That's a team game. It's a team game.
But it's still hard, bro. It's still hard.
It's a team, if you're the
star of the team, then you have a big hand in getting to the Super Bowl.
When you're in control
and none of y'all have done what she's done, and a lot of male athletes haven't done what she's done. She's made it to the Super Bowl of tennis so many times.
It's an individual sport. You're in control of getting there.
That's true.
That doesn't change how hard it is.
Yeah, but yeah, it do. Yeah, it do. Yes, I'm on Ocho side on this. Yeah, it do.
No, it does not.
You're relying on 10 other people to get the job done.
Look who.
Tom Brady does it.
Yeah, but he relies on 10 other people for it to get.
He got the greatest coach of all time.
He's relied on a lot of people we've never heard of before.
He got the greatest coach of all time. He got Bill Belichick.
Okay, so now it's the coach.
He got Bill Belichick.
So is it the 10 other people or is it the coach? Tell me.
He's part of it. The coach is part of it.
Okay.
What about the Barry Sanders? What about the greatest guys that just didn't have a team? And you can't win. You can't win. Can you? If you do not have a team and you're a monster, you can't win. Randy Moss. Randy Moss is the best. Sorry, fellas. The best receiver I think I've ever touched the field with.
Yeah. Him and T.O.
Randy Moss had to go
T.O.
old.
Randy
Moss had to get old and go to New England to go to a good team to win a championship. Serena's out there by herself. But on the other edge, Serena's out there by herself.
But when you do comparisons, you have to put it in context. So what you can't say is, oh, well, that's an individual sport, so that's easier. You have to put it in context.
I didn't say it was easier.
Well, that's kind of what you're saying.
Well, it's much harder to do it as a unit when you have to rely on everybody else. So when you say it's harder,
you mean you're saying that what Serena did was easier? Like that's like just the automatic comparison.
No. I'm sure it's difficult. Obviously, she's playing the best in the world.
Just admit that you guys have a problem with comparing women to men in sports.
Did I say it?
I disagree with you.
I didn't say that. I said she's the greatest female athlete of all time.
And I say she's the greatest athlete of all time.
I still would like an open discussion to hear the rest of the world's answer on that.
I think we should open it up.
I want to speak that out. But how do I word it so it doesn't come off offensive? I don't like.
You can't win that fight. Tell us about what do you mean by that? Because like
the first answer. Serena.
So Ocho tweeted out to what? How many fans you got on Twitter? Followers?
3 million.
So he got 3 million. And he said, who's the greatest athlete ever, female or male? And the first one came back to Serena.
The first word. And
I believe
then it goes Floyd, Kobe.
Floyd.
Y'all win 23.
That's interesting.
Serena, 23 majors. And
all right, hold on. You said something interesting. You said that being a woman, it's hard. And then
being a black woman.
Well, you said woman.
Being a woman is a journey. Being a black woman is an even longer one.
Well, what do you mean by that? Because I say that because, you know, like I think we're more conscious now, and the world is challenging men to really think outside of ourselves in this machismo lifestyle that we have. And like every day it's a learning process for us, right? Like we had this Me Too movement, and it really made us think, you know, because I remember moments growing up where, you know, looking at a girl's butt or touching a girl's butt and you're in elementary, like that was a thing. And now we're seeing that, oh, that's bad, right? So I think like we had this culture shift. So when you talk about, you know, like the women's journey, I don't think that a lot of men understand what that means because we don't experience it and we don't have these conversations. So what does that mean?
I mean, I think that we have to acknowledge that black women, there's intersectionality, right? So not only do we have to be a woman, which is already 10 steps back, we have to be black women, right? So we're at the back of the line. We have two things going against us. And then let's not even bring up economics. So if you happen to be poor, if you happen to be from the hood, you have even more going against you. So coming up in the league, I'm in the NFL, I'm at Pro Bowl, and everybody's asking me like, oh, you here to find a husband? I'm like, no, I'm actually working. But that's just what they see when they see me. They don't see a lawyer. They don't see an educated woman, right? And that's something that I have to overcome that a lot of people don't have to overcome. Y'all want to talk sports, and there's a lot of women that can talk sports just as good or better than you. But there's a notion that women can't talk sports. There's a notion that women don't know football. Some of the greatest football coaches have never played, or they were trash.
Yeah.
But somehow we think that a woman coaching football is out of this world when some of the greatest coaches of all time never played or didn't play at a high level. Yeah. Probably played as far as girls can play in high school. But we still have that. And then to add race to that, I have to be a woman, I have to be talked over, I have to be second guessed, and then I have to also be black. I have to fight those stereotypes too. So it's certainly a harder road for me. And I think that holding that against Serena is problematic. Yeah. She hasn't gotten deals plainly because she is a black woman, and she's also a black woman that doesn't have light skin, that's not a size 2, but her body is sexualized. So if you go to the strip club, you see a lot of girls that look like her. So it's okay to sexualize her, but it's not okay to promote her from a commercial standpoint. You want to exploit her, but you can't let her make money off for her own good. And that's a problem. Yeah. And that's what black women go through.
Yeah. It's always been like that, though. I mean, black women have always had to be 10 times better than their competition just in general, in all facets of life, facets of life and just in general. Look at me. I mean, I hate using Beyonce as a example, but
why? Because
I'm just saying, she has to be that much better than everybody
else.
Everybody, and she is. Literally, she would be like the Serena of music.
Yeah,
right?
She's the greatest entertainer of all time.
You think? Oh, she's the.
Whoa,
yeah.
Bring it back.
Yeah, for real. Come on, you going too far.
Bring it back.
What the movie say?
Big,
you're going too far.
It's Michael Jackson and Serena.
Okay, wait, Michael Jackson.
It's Michael Jackson and Serena. I mean,
Steph, ain't nobody know that.
Beyonce. Okay.
Michael Jackson and Beyonce.
I thought you were gonna discredit
Mike.
Okay.
No,
So you saying Mike is the greatest entertainer?
What? Michael Jackson is the greatest entertainer of all time, and then it's Beyonce.
Like me and Mish went like I think I was still playing for the Denver Broncos, and we were about to take a trip to Japan, and we were laying in bed, and I was like, we got to go see Mike.
We got it.
And in my head, it was like, yo, Mike is going to be in London, and I never traveled before. She never really traveled outside the country for real, and first time with a couple little dollars, and we were like, let's travel a little bit. Let's go see Mike. In my head, for me, it was like, yo, I think he's the greatest entertainer of all time. And literally, like a couple months later, he passed away. So, you know, when I think about the greatest entertainer of all time, I gotta go to Lil Boosie.
Brandon,
have you been to a Lil Boosie concert? Have you been to a Ratchet concert? Come on, boy.
I'm riding with that on this one. I got Beyonce over MJ.
You got Beyonce over MJ.
I don't know y'all say.
It's close.
Bro, have y'all been to Beyonce concert?
Yeah,
when she take that tub and dance in that water and be splashing. Man, we had some front row seats and the water off her foot hit my lip and I licked it.
No, you didn't, bro.
Well, ask my wife. My wife looked at me like I was crazy. That water came off Beyonce's leg. Yeah, you nasty. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he say no. He talking about BBMs and BBWs. Yeah, he's talking about he ain't nasty.
That's just my preference. You know, that's first.
That's first.
Yeah, I mean
But water hitting the lip, that ain't you.
They always curve me anyway, but still, that's what I like.
But you weigh 160. You ain't messing with no.
I'm 205 now. I was 160 when I played. Now I'm 205. I've been in the gym, bro.
But you can't handle no BBW, boy.
Who?
Hoover did, boy.
A lot of skinny guys like bigger women. It's a thing.
I know it's a thing, but he ain't doing what he supposed to.
If you go to the supermarket, you usually see a bigger woman with a smaller man. It's a thing.
It's a thing.
She's stealing his rations.
It's a thing.
All right. So, this is an amazing episode. This is gonna be good. No, I do want to shift gears for like 2 minutes, and I want to get y'all thoughts just on the climate, the political climate, and what's going on in the world. Anything y'all want to say? Because I see you have Black Voter on. Like, what does that? What does that mean?
It's a company actually my wife's friend has, and that's the whole push. Just if we get out to vote, we're gonna get our voice heard.
Yes.
And I said on last episode, I think my wife's the one that made me vote. I wasn't voting when I turned 18. I didn't register. I was the dummy that said, man, there's one vote, but that one vote counts. That's what you need to do. The black voters got to get out there and vote. And I'm not telling anybody who to vote for.
No.
Just go do your research and put your circle on the paper.
Vote for your best interest.
And that's all we're asking. Everybody thinks you're politicized, you're trying to lead people one way or the other.
No.
NBA's doing it right now. NBA has a big vote push. Y'all need to vote. Go vote. They're not saying vote for him or him. Just vote.
Just vote.
And that's what it's about. As a black man, as black people, just go out and vote. Whoever you like, whoever you tend to lean to, whatever. Just get your voice heard. That's all it's about.
I'm not into politics. Never really have been. Have voted before, obviously, but I talked to my mom about what's going on right now and who to vote for, and she said to vote for the lesser of the two evils.
Yes.
It seems for some reason, regardless of who's in office, they've always done something wrong. It's just, regardless of who's in there, just shit has never ever been right.
Yeah.
We've been voting, we've been doing this presidential campaign year in and year out, every 4 years or whatever, and shit still ain't right. So at what point is shit going to be fixed and solved? Just curious, that's my 2 cents. But I'm going to vote, and that's pretty much it. Who I'm voting for is none of your business.
Yeah, I bet. I like that. I guess for me, I'm kind of in the same boat. I just feel like if we educate ourselves, we'll understand more and we'll know where we want to go, right? I just think that we need to understand the mechanics of voting. You know, like there's 13,000 different voting districts. All are different. You know, here in Florida, our deadline to vote is different than it is in California. So you got to understand that, do your research, and really it's coming up. We got 3 weeks in Florida, for real, for real. In California, you got a little bit more time. Understanding how to approach the ballot box is different in different places. Some places you can actually register the day of to vote.
Yeah.
You know, so like there's so much that goes on in our country when it comes to voting that like we don't know. And I feel like there's a lot of people that don't vote because it's overwhelming to them. Yeah. You know, so I guess that's my message, is like really understanding the mechanics of voting, the deadlines of registering. If you understand that, then you shift to breaking down the candidates and where they stand on certain topics. It's important, you know, less than 50%, just a little under 50% of the eligible voting population actually stood up and voted in 2016. So if you want your voice to be heard, like Channing's saying, like you gotta vote.
Yeah, I think my problem is we as a community, as Black people, a lot of times the rhetoric is our vote doesn't count. Like it doesn't matter, people are still being shot on the street, my mama's still poor, like what does this matter? And what I can tell you is that if it didn't matter, racist people, Republicans would not be working overtime to make your vote not count. If voting didn't matter, why would they care if you voted? Why would they care that people that have felonies could vote? Why would they care that where you live? They are constantly— Is that
voter suppression?
Yes, it's voter suppression.
Exactly but even like that, like you like to me, you're speaking over people's heads.
It's targeted
because
at
like
us.
you're talking about that.
Vote.
Like, what does that mean? Voter suppression. What does that mean? Like, you know, these Republicans are speaking over here. Like nobody understands that. Because
we are unduly impacted by a lot of the policies that they put in place. So even just having identification, a lot of people in poverty may not have a license, or a lot of people, your license may be suspended because you have too many tickets. Well, you can't drive to get to work, right? So then you can't work. Well, how are you supposed to pay the tickets that are supposed to get your license reinstated, right? So they do these things, and they are certainly designed for people that look like us that are gonna vote against the Republican agenda to not vote. So if your vote doesn't count, why would they be working so hard for your vote not to matter, for you not to be able to vote? So like, just to make it plain, there obviously is something to voting, because there wouldn't be redlining where they draw districts where you're, you know, to water down your vote. They wouldn't be doing that if voting didn't matter. And I think that we need to be conscious and be intentional about this election. Like, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg just passed away. Like, RBG, notorious RBG, just passed away. She was a pioneer for reasonable judgment. And now we don't even know if we're gonna be able to control her seat. There is so much at stake when it comes to who is the president and who's going to set the tone for the type of country that we're gonna have. And if we don't take voting seriously, we can't complain when they start changing laws, right? And it doesn't matter how much money you have. Yes, Trump may be good if you're in a certain tax bracket, but guess what? If he's inciting racism, if he's inciting, you know, white privilege, if he's inciting things that are dangerous to you as a human being, your money's not gonna be able to protect you. It's just not. Your money didn't protect you when you had your incident in your neighborhood. It didn't matter how expensive the neighborhood was. It didn't matter how much you put on your down payment. You were a Black man and he was scared of you. And if the police were a little bit more jumpy, we don't know what could have happened, right? So voting for Trump or voting for the governor because he protects your money, what is your money gonna do for you when a gun is at your head? When someone feels empowered to kill you, feel empowered to racially profile you?
Okay, you know, I think what creates a good show is balance and diversity. So what about the people out there is like, I don't think Trump's racist. I think he's just like playing to his base, and you know, he's just doing what he's supposed to do to win. What about that?
If you're racist for pay, you're racist. There's no amount of money that's gonna make me do something that's against who I am. And let's be honest, Trump has been racist since he was born. His daddy was racist. But how
do we know that, though?
But there is
he's literally done racist things.
In his hotels and his real estate stuff, he's been
very racist. He's had lawsuits about
against
racist policies for renting out to units.
Policies.
And his daddy did as well.
When black people protest, he calls them thugs. Them white folks in North Carolina, there's some good people out there. Like, people act like, oh, well, how's he? Go back and look. People that don't want to see him as a racist aren't looking for it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you're not looking for somebody to be, to be a racist, you're not gonna go and dig up the stuff. His past, well, as president, you want to say, hey, he called this dude the N-word. You're not gonna find that. Go back and look at his other business dealings. Go back and look at his history in his businesses. Been sued a number of times for racial discrimination. Like, we know where he came from. We know he comes from money. He borrowed $1 million from my dad, a small $1 million loan and all. We know where he comes from. We know, like I said before in the past, we know how those people thought back before Jim Crow and Jim Crow and slavery. We know where that lineage is now. Let's not be dumb. And if people are trying to act like that, you're just being naive. You don't want to see it. If you don't want to see the sun, don't go outside.
Yeah. Well, as we know, in Australia, just comparing America to different countries that I believe get it right. In Australia, when you hit 18, it's mandated that everyone votes.
A lot of countries.
It's celebrated, okay?
It's a holiday.
It's a holiday. There's no teachers going to school. There's nobody going to work. It's celebrated. In America, 13,000 different voting districts. We have to understand the mechanics of voting. If we do that, I feel like you'll be equipped to go to the ballot box. This is shaping up to be probably the most historical, important, impactful election that America has ever had. You know, if you want your voice to be heard, it starts right there, I truly believe.
We had to fight to get a meal, wrongfully accused, we had to fight to get appeals. That's why we right to get a deal. He on the team, he gotta eat, you know, despite the skills. Keep it riding for the fam, you gotta light the wheels straight up. But in the past bad, work up in the trash bag. I'll pass a lot to take the test before I pass class. And my family needed bread, I had to come correct.